Hey, y'all. Sorry about that longer one. I probably should have broken it between the two, but again, that was. We won't have another 21-minute lecture here, but we're going to look here. We're going to take the idea of what McKay offered, the mood of Europe in 1914, and I'm going to try to dice it up a little bit so that it makes it more understandable. The first thing we're going to do, the mood, is all about militarism. With the military budgets dramatically increasing, Europeans felt fully prepared for war. And I love this chart that I chopped from the internet. Look at that element from 1890 to 1914. Look at the dramatic increase in expenditures. I think the first thing you see is that really this dramatic change in Germany, really the idea of expanding their army, but also expand their navy. Russia, because of that industrialization under Witte, you see a dramatic change here. But you also see Great Britain is added, as well as France. So there's this general feeling you need to tie militarism to the national identity. It is all about that social Darwinist idea that we are powerful. And there's going into 1914, there's this general feeling that militarism makes us a great nation. And conscription became the norm for every country except for Britain. So now it allows the continental states to have a standing army fully prepared for war at any given time. And this, again, the socialist Darwin paradigm really caused people to desire war. And we'll see a little bit later, it's really about manhood as well. And here's a great political cartoon that resembles, there's a sense of fear of German militarism. You see, it looks like a cannonball about to explode. And we have the different areas. So again, really good. This is this is a political cartoon that predates World War One, right? So as a historian, yes, I'm telling you this is important, but it also gives you this understanding that it's not just retrospect that we're tied to. Europeans feel threatened, really identifies that. But now let's go to here. Sometimes I call World War One the Great Romantic War. It's the Great Romantic War because it really is meant to define masculinity. There has been this general feeling of that mass society has softened a man, that men are no longer men. They've been feminized. They've been dominated by their mothers and wives. And it's time for us to find it. And here you see a British ad, a British poster. Here's your chance. It's men we want. Really playing on that toxic masculinity. As a German soldier, which I thought McKay, I really love this, right? Because again, it gives you not just propaganda, but we get insight of a specific a soldier here. And it's the idea that this war is really about this test by fire. It's going to ripen us into manhood. We can become men for a change. So it's that great moment, right? Here we see another British ad. This one really played to me several years ago. This is the one that really got me because I can see that feeling, right? With the daughter sitting on the lap of the father, with the son playing with the soldiers down, the toy soldiers, and the question is, Daddy, what did you do in the Great War? The Great War is what they called World War One at that time, and the play is, in your future, how are you going to answer your daughter? Are you gonna demonstrate that masculinity? Or are you gonna be womanly? And think about that element. So it's really important, this romantic perspective, the idea that men are going to be found on the battlefield. Then we see the Balkans. The Balkans is another area, right? As the Ottoman Empire continued to decline, new competitive states emerge. This concept we haven't talked about because McKay hasn't talked about, it's called Pan-Slavism. Pan-Slavism is the idea that all of the Slavic people must unite to prevent Austro-Hungarian expansion. I'll say it again. Pan-Slavism is the idea that all the Slavic peoples of the Balkans should unite to prevent Austro-Hungarian expansion. So in Serbia, maybe there's some of the Romanian there, the Montenegro, the Bosnians. They're all related in some way, shape, or form to the Slavic people. But as they remain divided, this area is a political vacuum. So now all of a sudden you have these pan-Slavists really under the leadership of Serbia saying, hey, we need to join together. And Serbia is really pushing it. When you see the geographic area here, I think it's pretty obvious if we're thinking about Alfred Mahan saying that every great country needs a navy. Serbia has really no access to water there. So they're going to hope to expand. Bulgaria here is to the right, and I call it a irredenta power because look at this area. You have Bulgaria, but what is it's right there with the Ottoman Empire. There's a question at the time. Bulgaria has not quite become completely independent prior to this time period. Prior to 1912, they were a country, but they weren't as well defined. So now all of a sudden you have all of these little competitive nation states. You have these competitive nation states, Bulgaria, Serbia, you have the Ottoman Empire there, you have Greece, you have all these little areas. And then you throw in the Austro-Russian rivalry where Austria is like, historically, we're here, so it's ours. And Russia's like, wait a minute, they're Slavic people, especially Serbia. You may want to write down Serbia and Russia. They have a really tight connection, not just because they're Slavic, they are both Eastern Orthodox. So the Serbians are almost like a little brother to Russia. So now we get all of these elements, and the Balkans is now becoming what we call a powder keg. And this is going to lead us to the Balkan Wars. I'm going to fly through these just to illustrate how the shifting alliances destabilized. In 1912, we had the first Balkan War in which Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, and a couple other countries united against the Ottomans, kind of forced the Ottomans off of the Balkan Peninsula, except for Constantinople. And it seemed like everything was cool. But at the end of the war, Bulgaria wanted to see the shining sea, but instead Albania was created. So Bulgaria was an irredentist power. And because Bulgaria was not satisfied, basically initiate a second war. And the second war is where Serbia, Romania, and Ottoman Empire triangulate Bulgaria. So now all of a sudden, in 1912, the Ottoman Empire was the enemy. But now in 1913, Ottoman Empire is an alliance. So now we have these shifting alliances that really destabilizes going towards war. So clearly the Balkan Peninsula is a really terrible moment. And that's really going to lead us to the July crisis. So now what we've done, we've identified these like long-term trends. We've identified this mood of 1914. We've identified the Balkans. So we have this long-term atmosphere going right into 1914. And I'm going to pause here